Kylian Mbappe. Because Mbappe, Vinny, Haaland, and Bellingham are all the same price, or at least are all reported to be at around the same price. And I personally have a problem with that. The reason why I have a problem with
it's an insult to Kylian.
The reason why I have a problem with these guys all being the same value as Kylian Mbappe is because, in my opinion, Mbappe is the best player in the world. And none of these guys have even come close of doing what Mbappe has done. But yes, we're going to start with the top 10 most valuable players in the world, at least as per transfer market. I'm going to read the names out to you, Yusuf, and I'm going to read out how much these players are worth as well. Because just before the stream, I was looking at it and I said, okay, there's a clear problem with this list. And I think you will get it within like 10 seconds of me saying it. But yes. Top 10 most valuable players in the world. You've got Jude Bellingham, who's worth 180 million euros. Erling Haaland, 180. Vinicius Junior, 180. Mbappe, 180. Phil Foden, 150. Saka, 140. Vert, 130. Musiala, 130. Rodri, 130. And Lamine Yamal, 120. What do you think of that list?
There are some questionable names in the list. There are a few questionable names in the list. Wow. Lamine Yamal is already 120.
Yeah, 120.
Wow. How much is Rodrigo?
Rodri is one.
Not Rodri, Rodrigo.
Yeah, Rodri's 130.
Real Madrid's Rodrigo.
No, Rodri, Man City's Rodri, not Real Madrid. Man City's Rodri.
Yeah, I'm asking. So Rodrigo didn't make the list.
No, he's not top 10. He's at number 13, and he's worth 110.
So there are teams in football now that really think Lamine Yamal is more expensive than Rodri.
Yeah, they're saying he's more valuable.
Wow. Wow. The list, the top guns are on the list. You know, the Vinnies and the Mbappes, they are definitely going to make the top of the list. But I don't think Lamine Yamal is worth 120. He had an amazing season. He had amazing football and everything, but I don't think it's worth 120 M's. You get me? Not right now.
You don't think he's worth that based on talent or based on what he's produced so far?
Based on talent and based on what he has produced so far.
Okay.
You understand me? Because we won't forget the fact that Lamine Yamal started the season last season very shaky. We won't forget the fact that Lamine Yamal is super inconsistent.
Mm-hmm.
Even in the Euros that we praise him so much for, there are games that he was totally a shadow of himself. He had 4 assists and a goal in the Euros. Beautiful goal by all standards.
Yeah.
Beautiful goal by all standards. But we can't compare that to a Rodrigo who was practically one of the best players in the last the Benzema's final Champions League win with Real Madrid.
2021.
Coming in clutch moments.
Yeah.
He was the clutchest player on the team, coming in from the bench. Rodrigo already recording a minimum of 15 goals a season. Already recording a minimum of 15 goals. A starter for the Brazilian national team. The only difference between Vinicius Junior and Rodrigo is height and dribbling. They are practically the same player, and Rodrigo is a better goal scorer than Vini. So I don't get the reason why. Okay, maybe it's valid. Maybe age. Yamal is 16 years old. But we saw unlucky. I don't think Yamal is worth more than Rodrigo. That is me. I don't think Yamal is worth more than Rodrigo. I praise him for his amazing football. I praise him. You can buy him because of the age factor. He's only 16, 17, doing what he's doing. So if you pay 120 for a 16, 17-year-old, I understand that. But
I think with Yamal, I think that's what they really went for. I think they went for the age, how young he is and what he's producing. So in that sense, I think the 100 million is kind of, for him and Bellingham, justified, because you look at this, he's the only teenager in the top 10. again, I do think he's quite inconsistent. That's why before the Euro started, I said there's a great player right there, but we can't act like we weren't surprised by what Yamal did. We were all surprised by what he did because we knew the talent was there. We just weren't very sure on how the talent was going to translate into the Euro. So that's why we were all surprised. So yeah, I like the fact that Yamal is on this list. 120, I guess, if you're going to factor in his age, also matters. But what I really want us to focus on for a second here is Kylian Mbappe. Because Mbappe, Vinny, Haaland, and Bellingham are all the same price, or at least are all reported to be at around the same price. And I personally have a problem with that. The reason why I have a problem with
it's an insult to Kylian.
The reason why I have a problem with these guys all being the same value as Kylian Mbappe is because, in my opinion, Mbappe is the best player in the world. And none of these guys have even come close of doing what Mbappe has done. Mbappe just put out just not too long ago. Mbappe put up one of the greatest World Cup final performances we have ever seen. Mbappe, year in and year out, he's able to produce 20, 30 goals in the league. He's been consistently the best scorer in Ligue 1. So when you're comparing Mbappe, I think the only other player that could really be on the same tier as him would be Erling Haaland. We've seen one outstanding season from Jude Bellingham, where we've seen Mbappe do this since 2018. We've seen Mbappe be this consistent player. We've seen Mbappe be this figure for country and club. Even when PSG did not perform as well in the Champions League, even when PSG came up short in the Champions League, Mbappe was always the bright spotlight in this team. You know, so for us to put Mbappe in the same tier as all of these other guys, I think it's kind of disrespectful. Mbappe should be worth way more than Vinny, Haaland, and Bellingham. If these guys are worth 180, Mbappe needs to be worth 200 at least. Because Mbappe, if we're being serious, Mbappe is putting up historic numbers at this age, and he's already a World Cup winner as well. You know, Vinny, Bellingham, and all of these guys, I'm not saying they didn't play their part. They of course played their part, but compared to what Mbappe has done, and I think I kind of had my doubts about Mbappe coming into Real Madrid, but now when I'm beginning to see things like this, I'm beginning to think, oh, they don't know who this guy is. They think Vinny, Bellingham, Haaland, they're in the same level of Mbappe, when really they are not on the same level as Mbappe. Mbappe is on a tier of his own. Mbappe is the best player in the world.
Mbappe is on a different level, and I hate the fact that because he didn't win the Champions League with PSG, he's been reduced to this type of player, or he's been reduced to this type of levels. 180 M's for Kylian Mbappe, a player who practically records 25 goals a season for the past 3, 4, 5 seasons. I can read his stats for this season so far. In the league, Kylian Mbappe this season in the league, he had scored 1 second. Kylian Mbappe in the league this season has scored 27 goals, 7 assists in the league this season. In 24 appearances, he has scored 27 goals and 7 assists. In the Champions League, in 12 appearances, he has scored 8 goals. Most influential player on the team. He practically carried PSG to wherever they reached. This season, and this just starts for this season, let alone his stats for like his career. So far, Mbappe is already recording upwards of like 100 or to 200 goals. So far at his age. So I think it's an insult. I think he's the most complete player on the list. I think he and Erling Haaland are the two players who have kind of really, really proved themselves. I really commend Haaland for the first season he had in Manchester City. I really commend him for the season he had last season, because for a player to score the amount of goals he scored last season and still be considered a flop is amazing. That means your levels are astronomical. That means you are way above competition. Who won the Goal King last season?
Say it again.
Who won the EPL Goal King last season?
It was Mbappe. I mean, Haaland. It was Haaland, and people still call him
And
a
he
flop.
flopped.
Yeah,
Yo, bro, that shows this man's levels.
it does.
You get me?
It
I
definitely.
appreciate Bellingham doesn't need to be on this tier. He isn't up there yet. The only person who's close to being there is Vinicius Junior
Yeah. And then
for his performances he put.
again, Bellingham, he had an amazing season. Again, for we're gonna have to see Bellingham be more consistent with his performances, because if we're going off talent, I have Foden being more valuable than Bellingham.
Yeah.
Foden didn't play very well in the Euros. We all know that he underperformed in the Euros. But I don't think that's like just Foden's fault. The whole team underperformed, and we all know what Southgate was doing to this team, and playing Foden in ways that Foden doesn't really benefit from. So if we're talking about worth and talent and all of that stuff, I kind of have Foden over Bellingham if we're being completely honest.
Yeah.
Bellingham had an amazing season where he was able to score a lot of goals, but how often is that going to happen? If I have to pick between Bellingham and Foden, I'm going to pick Phil Foden.
That is facts. That is facts. Phil Foden gives you more than Bellingham does. Bellingham eats off of the aura. I like the presentation he has. I like the way he carries himself in games. I like the way he, regardless of how the game is going, doesn't get lost in the sauce. And Phil Foden is kind of like a victim of being lost in the sauce. You understand me? Sometimes when the game becomes too gamey, Phil Foden, because he's known for doing one or two things so good, when he's not doing those things, it feels like he's out of those games. But with Bellingham, if he's known for scoring just clutch goals and the clutch goals don't come, you see him tackling. If he's known for giving passes, you see him doing other things in the football game that makes it look like, yo, this guy doesn't have too much of a bad game. You get me? And there's one stat I have to add for the Kylian Mbappe thing. I really did him a disservice for mentioning 100 goals. Kylian Mbappe so far in his career has played 305 games and has scored 255 goals.
Yeah, that's those numbers are up there.
This is the numbers we are talking about.
Yeah.
So far, that is only for Paris Saint-Germain. His total career matches is 442 matches, scoring 328 goals. This is Cristiano Ronaldo Messi level.
Yes. And again, that's why putting Mbappe in the same tier as the likes of Bellingham, Vinny, and the rest. They are again talented players, but they are not in the same tier as Mbappe. They do not eat in the same table, in my opinion. They just don't.
I think Kylian Mbappe should probably take this as a challenge, enter next season with all of the drive to prove everybody wrong. The only thing he has to do right now is to gel well with the current squad.
Yeah.
You understand me? Once he has that level of telepathy with the current squad, I think they are going to play for each other. They are young, they need to just find a few things that they share, a few things that they are both interested in. And I know there's basketball, there's fashion, there's clothing, and all of those things that they can find a common ground in. And there's one thing we are also forgetting. Vinicius Junior is with Nike, Kylian Mbappe is with Nike. So I feel like there's going to be that Nike connection there. Nike would find a way to bring two of his stars playing for one of the greatest clubs in the world to gel for content. So I feel like there's going to be that telepathy. There's going to be that thing. Now, Vinny doesn't have the pressure of being the clutch player. Vinny doesn't have the pressure of doing so much, because I feel like Vinny is one of those goal-scoring players who still likes to assist, who still likes to pull the ball back. I feel like if you give Vinny a more goal-scoring responsibility, he kind of falls short.
It's like a burden. You're putting too much on him.
It's like a burden. He wants to be that free-flowing player with no pressure, who can do a lot, but still help make the team better.
Yeah.
You get me?
But yeah, that we've just spent like 15 minutes on this topic, and the main reason why is just because when we dissect these things, we are able to analyze these things a little bit deeper than just surface level. And yeah, so we just went over the top 10 most valuable players in the world. We're